Ladies and gentlemen, Musical Chairs is on the air.
Artists, songwriters, instrumentalists, producers, sound engineers,
and anyone else in the arts.
Thank you for joining us. On this episode of Musical Chairs, we have a new guest who's sure to entertain and inspire you. Hear their story, feel their passion, and join them in their journey as we put them in the chair. Now please welcome your hosts, Lisa Berry and Eric Lambier.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello. This is a very special day, isn't it, Eric?
It's a very special day.
Well, first of all, everybody, we'd like to share with you that because of you and your listenership and your excitement about just everything that we talked about being passionate, Musical Chairs is now under their own banner. Woo! Yay! We did originally start under Light on Living, but you know what? I think Eric and I we're just too big for one shared banner.
It's too big. We had too many requests.
We became unstoppable, like our guest that we're bringing on today. Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to share this with everybody. She's a very special guest, very unique in the way that she's actually not like specifically in the music business, but she is a music fan, and we want to bring her on because she's just incredible. She's unstoppable, and she is going to share with us some of her favorite songs, which was very difficult to choose, which will keep her going and motivated and inspire her, because that's what music does, right?
It does so. Absolutely. That's what it's there for. Either inspire or
keep you going.
But usually it's supposed to be like a good thing, or bring you back to certain things.
Yeah. So we reached out, and we were so excited to have the Unstoppable Tracy Schmitt join us today. Hello, Tracy.
Hello, Lisa and Eric. What an honor to be with your fabulous inaugural show.
Ooh, yes, inaugural. Thank you.
That's a good word. I never thought of that word.
Yeah. Being the decorated athlete that you are, you would absolutely know all these fancy words like that. So
I didn't even know it was in me. I don't know where it came from.
I hope it means what we think it does.
Yeah, me too.
Well, Tracy, I just want to read a little bit about you to the listeners and the fans here. Oh, by the way, Siri told a really funny joke this morning. I have to share it because I think Eric will appreciate it. They said, why do hockey players never sweat?
I don't know.
Because they have too many fans.
Oh.
All right.
This is definitely not a comedy show.
All right. Well, back to the serious end, because Tracy's anything but. This is Tracy. She's Unstoppable Tracy, is a best-selling author. She's an award-winning leader, honored humanitarian, which I want to talk about later.
Very cool.
She's a decorated athlete, #1 international speaker. She's really good. And a TEDx speaker. Oh, and did I mention also a 4-way amputee? Like, honestly, the list goes on. This woman's incredible. So here she is.
Awesome.
Well, hello. Somebody's done their homework.
Yeah. You know what, Tracy, the reason why I super wanted to reach out is because you said something, and I actually I was like, wow, it's so simple, yet it's so true. On your TEDx talk, you shared, if you're trying to figure something out and you're uncertain about something, you're not going to figure it out sitting on the couch.
No.
And
as we may be sitting on a couch right now, for all we know.
Right, yeah.
In the radio world.
Yes. And so when you came up and said, you know what, I'm not going to figure out how to live life by just thinking about it. So I gotta do it. And there's so many. If you could tell, I would love. Could you share your sailing experience? I love that one.
Oh, absolutely. It's such an incredible journey. I am so blessed that this was the way it went. Sometimes we feel like we're like at the lowest of the low. Have you ever felt that where you're just, I remember,
been there.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, I had an incredible job at Shoppers Drug Mart. Amazing. And it was in the parking lot. What's really funny is somebody's cheekily phoning me while I'm on this phone right now, which is just totally throwing me off my beat because it's beeping in my ear, which is hilarious. It's so funny. Someone on Facebook Messenger. So that's kind of exciting. This radio show is so fabulous that everybody's like, hello, we want to be part of it. So I had this great job at Shoppers Drug Mart, and we had just we turned from pharmacy focus to more baby and more food and more convenience and more beauty. And it was such a high being all these great results, and they were on their way and doing their own thing, and they didn't need me anymore. I basically worked myself right out of a job. And it was a really good problem, but I was so sad in the parking lot, and not because I didn't deserve to be sad, but I really believe what you focus on grows. And so I was kind of scared even to drive home because I thought if I'm sad, a telephone pole is going to fall on me or something wacky like that. And it's okay, I just got to reframe myself. And I'm allowed to be sad about the job being over. It was an incredible opportunity, and I know better. I know that there's going to be another one that's going to open up. But I was just in the moment of the thick of it. And then I thought, what's going to make me happy no matter what? And it was sailing.
Yeah.
And so it's 11:30 on a Friday morning, and I Googled in the parking lot, tears streaming down my face, where can I sail in October? And there was nowhere in Canada that I could go in October that weekend, right then and there. But in San Diego there was. And so I Googled a flight, and I got myself on a plane to San Diego right away, 5:30 that same day. And I was really looking to sail. But in order to sail, it meant entering this competition. And I had done some recreational racing as a sailing instructor to teach people, and it motivates them to make the turns they need to make kind of thing. But it wasn't superstardom races. But this was a North American regatta sailing race. And unbeknownst to me, I end up getting a first place in the first race of 12 of them. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I love sailing. And all my life, there's all sorts of times. I was in a waiting room getting new legs, and the 18-year-old college student that discovered there was no sailing for people with disabilities in Canada, they showed up in this waiting room to say, hey, can I have a list of all your people with disabilities? I want to invite them to go sailing. And of course they said they can't because of privacy. But I was sitting in that waiting room, and each time in my life, I was at 18, there was a big diverse youth challenge international with 90 countries involved, and they had all this diversity, but they'd never had anybody with a disability. And they asked my sailing instructor, coincidentally, do you know somebody with a disability? Because we feel really remiss. We've got every culture on the planet, every gender preference, but we don't have anybody with a disability. Do you know somebody? And she's like, I do. And so I got to go. So every time, sailing's always been really good for me. So here it is. Here's a pass road, a crossroad. And then I get to go sailing. And then I got this number one, and there was a Paralympic coach on the water. And she said, there's Paralympic sailing. And, of course, I didn't, because in the 70s, 80s, 90s, there wasn't Paralympic sailing. It started late 90s or 90s-ish. And so here it is. I'm flying home. There's Hurricane Sandy in the States. And I thought I was going to die because I was in the air when the hurricane hit.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, if I live, I want to pursue my Paralympic dream. And the plane went dead still. So it totally surprised me, completely flabbergasted me. And so I land, and I start phoning people I know with disabilities that may have known there was Paralympic sailing, and let go of the fact that I'm super disappointed no one ever told me there was Paralympic sailing, and say, do you know? And they were like, yes. And I'm like, how do I get in? And they're like, and they said, well, you need to be training for 10,000 hours and have $10,000 for a boat and have your own boat and have a high performance coach. There's no way. And I'm like, okay, there's no way. But if I waved a magic wand, what would it take? What would appear? And they're like, you need someone like an able-bodied Olympic coach that's willing to be with you 24/7. There's just no way. And I said, do you know any? And they're like, there's no Canadians. And I'm like, well, do you know any in North America? And they're like, yeah, there's like this Magnus Ligidol. And I'm like, well, thank you for letting me dream a little. And we hang up. Well, then I start stalking Magnus, and I phone him, and I Facebook him, and I Twitter him, and I email him, and he never replies. I'm like, okay. He needs to see me face to face. If he sees me, if he meets me and he feels my energy, he's going to totally support my journey. So I throw everything in my car. I pay my landlord like 11 months rent, was the last of all the money savings I had. And I've just lost my job, right? So, and there's no severance package yet. It eventually comes, but it's never right away, right? You always take time for these things. So I give all my money for my last 11 months rent, and I put everything in my car, and I drive down. If it didn't fit in my car, it didn't come with me. I gave it away or sold it if I could. And I drove down and I drive with my legs off, and my sister's like, how are you going to fill the gas tank? And I'm like, I'll figure it out. And I bum out of my car, and I bum shuffle to the gas tank, and I start to try to fill the gas with the legs off, right? So for the people listening, I'm missing my legs above knees, and I'm missing my hands. I'm missing my left arm above elbow, and the right side, I have a bit of an elbow joint, but it's unique, and no hand. And so that's what I mean about, like, I bum out of the car, and I bum shuffle over to my gas tank.
Oh, I get it. But every gas tank, all 5 days of 24/7 of driving down there, a truck driver showed up every time. And once it was a motorcyclist. Like, totally bust your stereotypes. Can a 4-way amputee drive for 5 days? Yes. And can a truck driver and a motorcyclist be more than we ever kindly look into those eyes and give credit for? Yes, because it was exactly that community that was super supportive and filling my gas tank. And you know what else, Lisa and Eric? I bet you I could have filled that gas tank. But I never got to find out, right? Like, it was actually it's actually your knowing that you could have that actually attracted everyone else that could.
Yes. Right? Sitting in my car, you say sitting on my couch, it's not going to figure it out, right? Sitting in my car, batting my eyelashes, might have got me a phone number, but it wouldn't have got me a gas tank, right? I had to get out and be in action to do it. And so I think that's it. Like, when people see you're giving your all and you're doing your very best, right? You attract, like, who you surround yourself with is who you become. And people, like, want to be part of it. They're like, wow, this girl's all out. I'm going to go all out too. And it's great. And so
it is everything that you just said right there. And I have to interject you at one of your, I was going to put you on the spot again and say, all right, what was your song you were listening to in the car on that drive? But I know that you already worked hard to give us your songs. Was it, one of Tracy's songs? It was. One of your Tracy's tips for everybody here. Unstoppable Tracy tips.
You got the coach.
I know, right? So there's both. So we do both. We do the song on the way to the coach that gets me to the coach if you want with Lisa, and then we finish however you both want to do it. What do you two decide?
Well, I want to mention how the one number, because all of our listeners are excited to hear some of this music. This is your favorite song.
I promise. I did promise on Facebook. That's why they're calling me from Messenger.
Yes. So number one, we're only going to release one of them right now, which is Unstoppable Tracy Schmitt is number one.
Ain't No Mountain High Enough, right? By Marty Gay and Tammy Terrell.
And so funny. Eric's going to play a little smidgy of it for you.
Oh, amazing.
Ain't no mountain high enough, no valley low enough, ain't no gas tank empty enough.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think?
Eric, you're amazing that you impromptu did that. That is so fun. I love that, Eric. Oh, Eric, you're amazing. Wow. I love that.
We had to have a few gifts. Nothing's unstoppable here either. I just love this. What surprises.
Well, and it's like to keep me from getting to you, babe, right? It's like to keep me from getting to you, Magnus, right? And there's like wind and rain, and he talked about it like a river, so I think of like a boat. And I'd done the mountains, right? I'd climbed the Himalayan mountains. So I'm like, I lost my legs in Kathmandu. And because we tried it with the legs and it didn't work, right? I had to leave the legs and do it on my knees and my elbows.
Are you?
And
Yeah.
I'm totally serious.
Wow.
So if I could climb the Himalayas, I could drive down to Magnus, right? But it's so funny. You do these big things, and your family, they're afraid for you, or your friends, or your business network, and they're like, well, do you have enough experience, or do you have, does that make sense, or do you have enough funds, or, you've got to be careful, and everybody's so cautious and realistic. And it's not because they doubt you. It's because they love you, and they want to protect you from failure. They want to protect you from the no. And they don't know what you and I, what the three of us know. We know that it's not failure until you stop trying, right? So if I didn't get gas, I just keep trying and trying and trying. And eventually either me or someone's going to show up in that gas tank, at that gas station, right? You just keep going. And that was it, the Twitter, the Facebook, the email, the phone calls. And every night, 5 nights, I called Magnus. He never replied. I showed up in the parking lot, and guess what it's called?
What's that?
Shake a leg.
Oh, no.
It's called Shake a Leg, totally, which I think is so funny with no legs, right? It's just like, maybe that's just too obvious, but I thought it was hilarious. It was called Shake a Leg. And guess who's not there? Magnus.
No.
Isn't there?
So who you surround yourself with is who you become. Fun, friendly people like Eric and Lisa.
Sure.
They play pianos and turn your stories into magic with impromptu songs. So who you surround yourself with is who you become. And there was these 2 big multi-million-dollar yachts in the park, in the boatyard. So I bring my car and I park it between these 2 multi-million-dollar yachts, and I hide between the cars. And I'm like, who I surround myself with is who I become. Maybe I surround myself with these $1 million yachts in hope. And I slept in my car. And sometimes people feel like, oh, that's terrible. Oh, no, she's in the car.
Oh, and Tracy, and on sleeping in the car moment, we're going to leave everybody in suspense and leave you in that car just for the commercial break. And
boy, I can.
I want to hear the rest of it when we come back.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hi, this is New Age Grammy winner Paul Avgerinos. Thanks for listening to OMTimes Radio, and please support my peaceful healing music with a purchase at iTunes, Amazon, or wherever you shop for fine music. Just put my name into the search engine, Paul Avgerinos. A, V like Victor, G like George, E-R-I-N-O-S. You can also visit me at roundskymusic.com. Thanks for listening, and I'm wishing you the brightest of blessings.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Musical Chairs with Unstoppable Tracy as our guest today.
Yay, Tracy.
Yay. So we were talking about you parked between the $1 million yacht.
Yes, to surround myself.
And you slept in your car?
I slept in my car because, I'd spent all my money getting down there, and it was like 240 American at the time.
Right.
And the cool Airbnb apps, everybody was full, so I had to sleep in my car.
Oh.
But I told nobody. I didn't tell any family because I didn't want anybody worrying about me.
Right.
But I was exactly where I needed to be.
Wow.
Because I woke up with the sunlight at like 5:30 in the morning. And guess who was washing boats at 5:30 in the morning?
Oh,
Magnus.
Right
in front of me, like just like in eye-line view on the docks, dead ahead of where I had thought I had secretly hid my car behind the boat. And he was right there. So I jump out of the car and I run down. I'm like, Magnus, I'm Unstoppable Tracy. I am so sorry that I tweeted you and Facebooked you and emailed you and phoned you. I didn't mean to be harassing, but I'm Unstoppable Tracy and I want to pursue my Paralympic dream. And I'm super wound up. And he just sort of...
Tracy, I'm laughing because I'm imagining somebody going, I'm so sorry that I did all the things, so I thought I'd actually show up.
Yeah. So you ignored me, so here I am, right? Like true stalker style, right?
Okay, yes.
Full on, yeah. I slept in your parking lot. But I didn't have
your
that
dream,
part.
that's funny.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Right.
Look at that. I totally missed the boat on that one. That's not intended. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And so he didn't even answer right away. He just sort of kept watching the boat, and he started looking at me, and he's got one of those like strained grins on his face, like
a deer in the headlights.
Oh dear, yeah, who is this?
Yeah.
And he was watching boats, so he finally says while he's watching his boat, well, hello, kind of, overwhelmed, I'm pretty sure, with his voice tone. And he's got this big Swedish accent. He's massive. He's like 7 feet tall and big, muscular. They call him rail meat in the sailing world. Because he's just ginormous. His feet are like almost as big as a dinghy. I think he's just so big. The size of Tony Robbins. He's like that, right? He's just this great, big, gigantic man. Right. And his name is Magnus, Magnanimous Magnus, right?
Right.
It's huge. And so I realize I'm not speaking to his concern, right? His filter, his listening. I'm not, like, I'm all about me, right? And my aim is to influence him. And I have, like, zero speaking to what's going on for him. So I'm like, what's going on for him, right, in my head? What's going on? Oh, he's washing a boat. And I'm like, okay. So I pick up a sponge, and I start washing the boat with him.
Oh, wow.
Well, do you guys know the movie Karate Kid?
Yes, I totally just thought of that.
Do you know we wax boats in sailing, too? And so I washed and waxed boats for Magnus for 3 months.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I hid in my car in his parking lot for 3 months.
Holy.
Yeah, for 3 months until I finally, till he saw, right? Because he's a gold Olympian. He's a gold Olympian in the sailing world for the U.S. sailing team. He had moved from Sweden and became American and won a gold. Him and his skipper won a gold for the U.S. and the only one in North America. And so there he was in this parking lot called Shake-a-Leg, supporting other Olympic sailors. I know, right? And so
that's hilarious.
And like me, both of us, he's more a doer. He's a sailor, right? And so he was terrible at emails and phone calls. And it wasn't even that he ignored me. It was that he just wasn't about them. He was out sailing or washing boats or fixing boats or talking to boats or talking to people about boats. Like he just,
right. Yeah.
So I ended up helping him with all that stuff. And then finally one day, he said, come on, let's go sailing, right?
No way.
And it was like, yeah, and it was so great. It was so great because he saw that I wasn't giving up and I was tenacious and I was going to be there. And he must have a gazillion people want free coaching from him, you know, because he's a gold Olympian. And he's like about, and it takes time to do what he's doing, right? It's not, he is a valuable contributor in the whole sailing world. So that's my story.
I love that story. And I have
beautiful.
My burning question here is, so during that time, because you were stalking your dream and you were determined you knew it. Now, what made you not stop going after him and go, okay, I'll go after the silver medalist? Or what if I go after somebody different? What made you absolutely know and stick through specifically for Magnus?
You know, it was funny, like no matter how many people, I lost a lot, and all regained, all regained. But in the moment of like when that flight said, you know, it was all turbulent and it was, you know, so this big, tall, able-bodied guy got thrown out. He didn't have his seatbelt done up like he was supposed to. And he got thrown out of his seat and across the aisle. And like, we really thought, and I worked for Air Canada for 8 years. So I knew it was highly unlikely that anything was going to happen as an employee of Air Canada. And even if something happened, even then, there was like a 99.9% likely that we would even survive the rough landing, even if that's the worst case that happened. And then even then, if that happened, me being one of those passengers was really, really rare. So I had an authentic, genuine fear that my life was ending that day. And it was like just super clear that I had to pursue this. And it was so driven and focused that, you know, what if this was the last day? And I had just spent like all this time and working 24/7 and no life partner and no children. And it was just like work. And what would be your biggest regret? Like what would be unfulfilled? And so that was it. And so when, you know, family was yelling at me because they just wanted me to be safe because they loved me, not because they were angry because of their fears, right? They're like, this is unrealistic. And are you kidding me? And that's just, and you know, all sorts of names to try to get me to stop it. And everybody thinks I'm having like a midlife crisis because I'd lost my job. And even Magnus for the 3 months was, you know, it's a male-dominated sport. When I was in Melbourne at this World Cup, there were 27 men on the starting line, and there were only 3 women, and 3 of them, and all 30 sailors except for me, had hands and feet, right? Everybody was able-bodied. And so it was like every day. And so Magnus, he said many times, I admire your dream, but even in the Paralympic world, the people with disabilities are like missing a foot. It's like a paper cut, you know, they're missing a thumb.
Yeah.
So it's I'm missing my legs above knees, and I'm missing my hands and my left arm above elbow. And the people that are maybe have all 4 limbs impacted, they have their family and they were born into a sailing family. So they have a father, a brother, a sister, a high performance coach, and they come from a country like Norway, funds, personal support workers and the equipment. Like we just don't do that in North America. So if you do have a disability that's more than a missing foot, they had teams. A UK gal that was paralyzed, she had a team, and I'm like this one-person show. So everybody was like, but I just knew, like I never knew anything as deep as I knew then that I know Kelly, I know my sister's against it. I know she loves me, but she's against it. And I know Magnus is against it. And I know he doesn't see it yet, but and I've all my life, like people say no. They say no every day. They still say no every day, right? So 5 years old, can you go to this kindergarten? No, you can't go to this school. Can you ski? No, I'm sorry, you can't ski. Can you sail? No, I'm sorry, you can't sail. And you fall out of the boat and you just get back in, and you ski in the trees and you just get back up, and you You say, well, can we just try in that kindergarten classroom? And you show them, I actually can tie my shoelaces. And in fact, none of the other 30 kids can tie their shoelaces. And I'm the only one that can tie my shoelaces. And so I learned that no and O just means K-N-O-W. They just don't know.
There you go.
Right? They just don't know. So like 5 years old, sometimes we make it mean that we're fat or we're tall or we're freckly or we're, you know, we make it mean something. I made it mean no means K-N-O-W. They just don't know. And so that was lucky for me. I don't hear it the way I should hear it.
Right.
And that's a bonus.
I was going to say, what came to mind when you were talking about the airplane incident was a song by Tim McGraw, Live Like You're Dying. And it's a really good song, and it means a lot. If you lived like you were dying, what would you do today? If tomorrow you weren't here, what would you do?
What would you do?
You know, exactly. Would you just stay in your house, or would you go out and try to do something that's a little different?
Yeah, like you're safe. You're safe on your couch. A boat is safe in the harbor, but that's not what it's made for. You got to go sail it, you know?
Yeah, and what about a stage even? I know I was going to ask, were you a speaker before that, or did you become a speaker, like, I want to call you a performer, you know, because you perform, but a speaker performer and up on stage after that or before that?
So like the Dr. Phils and the Jane Fondas and the Mark Wahlbergs and all of these like famous people's stages have all been in the last 48 months of my life, and was another new, you know, I think of that song, the Straight and Arrow, what's her name? Straight Arrow. She's a country singer. Yes. And so I'm thinking of that song, like you just, there's the arrow and you follow it and you make it happen kind of thing. And so I had that with sailing that day, and I had it for big time stage speaker, international, you know, 3,000 plus in an audience.
Wow.
48 months ago. But you said, was I a speaker? At like 6 years old, I was in a dentist's office, and an important, I think he was the CEO of General Motors, or he was a senior vice president. He was a significant role at GM, and he invited me to come speak to GM at 6 years old. And my mom's like, you know, she's like 6, right? And he's like, I know, but just look at her with the toys and with the dentist, and there's all of us in this waiting room, and she's got more confidence than any of us adults sitting here, right? Like, she's fearless. And I'm not fearless, right? The thing is, I just do it in spite of the fear, right? That's what courage is not doing it, right? Pushing yourself in the uncomfort zone. I am not fearless. I totally was petrified.
Yeah, so you get nervous.
Oh, sure. And I get
we all get
on the
nervous.
Big stages. I got nervous every time a trucker approached me, and shame on me after 5 days of wonderful, healthy trucker. My father was a trucker, and I still got nervous, right? Like I've got no legs on. I'm in a parking lot, and there's somebody with like tattoos and missing teeth coming towards you. That's huge. And you're trying to, right? And
you're
it's like,
right, I'm nervous.
Yeah, but how dare I, right? Somebody who needs somebody to look at me and bust stereotypes, right? We are all more than, and everyone is. Like, everyone's got a place, no matter how tall or small, black or white. Like, we are all more than the way sometimes people look at us.
Absolutely.
And so but the only person that can live into that, we got to believe that, right? I got to see, I'm like, okay, I'm on it. This guy, you know, you're just in your head. I'm like, I can do it, right? Like, I can grab his ankle and take him down, right? If I need to, right? He's not going to expect that.
No.
Stronger than I look, right? Or whatever it takes for you to get in a mindset of power. But then it could be something nicer than being able to take out the big truck driver, right? And believe that Magnus just doesn't know it.
In your talk, I love that. I like one of my favorite talks. I've seen many of them now, but the one I love what you just said now is that you have to do something that is common, but in an uncommon way. So if you were to take that truck driver down, that would be very uncommon, but common.
Yeah. Like, you disrupt that norm, and that's you too. That's Lisa. That's Eric. That's all of our listeners. But I'm lucky because I wasn't born with hands, but I just wanted to play with that toy. Right? I disrupt the norm, the way I held the toy, or the way I held the baby doll, or the way I learned to eat, or the way I learned to walk. They said I would never sit up, I would never walk, right? And I'm sitting and walking and climbing mountains, right? I'm a World Cup sailor against able-bodied men. Not forget. But on top of like the amazing feats of Paralympics, because Paralympics is high performance. It's very competitive.
Absolutely.
And it's not, there's incredible Invictus Games and there's incredible Special Olympics, but both of those are celebrating participation. Paralympics is celebrating high performance.
Exactly.
And in the sailing world, it's really high performance because it's established enough, and you train with World Cup able-bodied athletes.
And I was in the Paralympics myself.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I still hold the Canadian high jump record, and I'm totally blind.
Woo!
I had the world record, and then American broke it, but I still have the Canadian high, which, once again, as a blind person, you wouldn't think you'd choose high jump.
No!
And I trained with Bridget Bittner Reed, who was actually her coach was Pat Reed, who was the Canadian high jump coach for the sighted team as well back in the day.
See, and that's crucial, right? Like you trained with high performance. That's why I wanted Magnus. That's why you trained with the able-bodied high performance coach.
Exactly.
No offense, but I didn't want to, at the time, my mindset was I didn't want to train with the Paralympic coach. I had to fast forward 10 years of 10,000 hours. Yeah. So who's going to do that for me? Well, something that's bigger and better. And then in my mind, that was Magnus.
Alice Cooper has a great, Alice Cooper, I remember watching a show called Hired Gun, and he has a great thing. He goes, good is the enemy of great. He goes, I don't have time for good. I want great. And so the same thing, if you want a coach, you want a great coach. I'm not saying there's not good people that you can rely on as well. I mean, we don't want to discount those people, but man, if you can get the great, that's going to separate you.
That's the 2%, right? There's 98% of us that live in those comfort zones, and then there's the 2% like you, Eric, that went to great. It's so funny you say that because I was trying to figure out what songs I would share with you, and the 3 songs that made it, I've been doing it hours all day in between every phone call, and there was 3 songs that I had written down great beat. And so I ended up picking my 3 great beats. Like that's
and you know what?
It's midnight, and I got to pick a song.
I know. I noticed your text come in that way, but you know what? We are going to scooch off to commercial. So everybody, we still have 2 more. We have actually, Tracy, we have a surprise for you when we come back. Yes, we do. And then we will share those other 2 songs with the listeners. In 2 minutes.
The musical chairs and the Unstoppable Tracy.
Woo! Woo!
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Hi, this is recording artist and composer Yuval Ran, inviting you to a voyage through the chakras, a new double album of guided meditations to transform your life, a sublime musical medicine for nourishing inner peace and reaching to your higher virtues. Get it now at metamindfulnessmusic.com, METTA mindfulnessmusic.com.
Opiates has taken everything and everyone I've ever loved away from me. Everything.
I blew my ankle out and I got prescribed pain pills by my doctor.
If making my detox public is going to help somebody, I'm all for it. I just wish I would have had a warning.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth. A message from Truth, the Ad Council, and ONDCP.
Musical chairs.
We're at the piano today.
Oh, well, welcome back, everybody.
Everybody.
You're here with us, Eric Landier, Lisa Berry, and the Unstoppable Tracy on Musical Chairs. Well, we have a surprise. We're going to release one more one of your chosen songs, because you have 3, and then we'll give you a surprise, Tracy. But let's go with, your number 2 choice of songs that you I know you had to work hard. You had to keep it clean. Lots of clean fun here.
Yes, that was the other bit. No.
I love that. But what is that second song that would?
Best day of my life.
Oh, is it the best day of my life?
It sure is. That was first seeing Magnus when I jumped out the car, and then the day he actually said, "Come on, let's go sailing." Best day of my life. American authors.
I mean, woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
That song just makes life fun. I actually played that song while I was having my tea with the cats this morning because I knew that they would want to hear it.
Oh,
I like that banjo part. Or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, because we're having you on here, Tracy, we thought we wanted to play you a song, and it's just a really uplifting, happy song because that's what you really are. You look at every thing that could possibly be a limit, and you spell it with a B and turn it into limitless with a B.
Yeah.
Limitless.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love that.
I was lucky to be born limitless.
There you go.
Like, that is such a positive way of looking at it. And you know what you said at the beginning of the show, really about you live in your most high performance, best way because you'll attract those people. And so Eric wrote a song with a good friend, Carl Stedman.
Stedman. Carl's listening. I don't know. But
yeah. And
hello, Carl, if you are.
Hello, Carl. And we just want to share this with you, Tracy, and dedicate it to you during the show because you do this to us as well. So we're gonna play you a song for this. It's called
A Smiling World.
Oh.
I hope you like it.
Come on, everybody, I'm calling old and young. Winds of change, they be blowing. It's time to get things done. Flip it around, we'll turn it upside down. The frown is on the run. A smiling world for you and me. Hand in hand in harmony. Cooperation, every nation around the world. It's a smiling world. Come on, shout it from the rooftops. Run it through the streets. Come up for the rising. A chance to get some peace. You all sing along, united in the song. Now you've got the K, a smiling world for you and me. Hand in hand in harmony, cooperation, every nation around the world. It's a smiling world for you and me. Hand in hand in harmony, cooperation, every nation around the world. It's a smiling world. Yes, it's a smiling world. Oh, it's a smiling world. It's a smiling world. You all sing along, united in a song. Now you've got the K. A smiling world for you and me. A smiling world for you and me. It's a smiling world for you and me. A smiling world for you and me. It's a smiling world for you and me. Hand in harmony, cooperation, every nation around the world. It's a smiling world.
It's a smiling world. Oh, it's a smiling world. It's a smiling world. There's our surprise for Unstoppable Tracy, a little song. What do you think?
Oh, I love that song. I have to have a new favorite. A new one. That's incredible.
Nice.
Holy cow. I love that song. Is that on? Can we find it? Where can we find it?
We can't yet. I haven't put it out there quite yet.
Oh, well, now I feel extraordinarily lucky. Holy cow, are we as listeners lucky. Like, you can't even find it on YouTube yet.
No. Did we do a version on YouTube?
I don't
Remember that one
believe so.
time?
Just on OMTimes.
I think
Wow.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Well,
They're really
if we do a video, or maybe we do it to amazing.
Maybe we're gonna stalk you now, Tracy, and
you can be in it.
yeah, we're gonna stalk you and show up and have you in it.
Wow, that's extraordinary.
Speaking of stalking you and happy people around the world, question about.
Oh, I just wondered more about what the stage is. What countries have you been to?
I have been to over 40 countries.
Holy
yeah, I was in 20 countries in 2018 alone, would you believe? And
you have frequent flyer miles?
Yeah, and no, I'm such a doorknob. Me and Magnus, we both are really terrible at this. I could do it for him, but I was terrible at turning it on for myself because it all also happened really fast. Like I had one gig, for example, in Edinburgh at the International Fringe Festival that some people might know about. But by saying I'm going to be there, Wales said, "You're coming? Can we bring you to Wales?" And I said, "Of course." And then when I was in Wales, or while I was in Scotland, they said, "I see you're going to Wales after Scotland. Can you come to Hungary?" And then when Hungary said and advertised, "Oh, I see you're in Hungary," Belgium said, "Oh, you're going to Hungary? Can you pop in on us on your way to Hungary?" And that one event turned into 33 cities and 11 countries in 22 days.
Wow.
And every time I had a flight home booked, like I had many flights home booked that I just never showed up for because something else came up. So it just it was more advantageous to stay and just miss the flight and buy a brand new single flight home. I ended up flying home from Amsterdam because Netherlands also asked me an ING bank, which is like an online banking and the big internet. So ING, that's great. Yeah. So they asked me to come speak to their folks. They had just, a long time ago, there was a diligency. There was some money laundering that happened with one of their clients, which they didn't do and they didn't condone, but they accidentally, through their systems, they were able to get away with it. And so the local government said, you are accountable for having a regime and a diligence and a tenacity that people can't do that. And so you're as guilty as they are for doing it.
Right.
And so that was years and years ago. I think it was over 7 years ago, but it was finally coming to fruition. And it came to fruition while I was in Europe. And so, in fact, the fine was fairly negligible amount considering the scope of the business. So they needed to make a point and say that this is inappropriate and you need to be accountable. And it caused the accountability and all banks around the world to be really great at it. So those things couldn't happen.
Right.
But the final closure of it and the verdict came up while I was there. And so to save employees being panicked about it all and that kind of thing, and just like mindset, just about like no means they don't know. And Shoppers Drug Mart in Canada, like the government changed pharmaceutical reform. 55% of profits were pharmaceutical, right? And then overnight they change it. And in a month, we still outperform the stock market. Pharmacy went in the red on the sales, but we still increased beauty, food, convenience, all these baby items. And shame on us at Shoppers Drug Mart for not making money in those areas more effectively. Right? Because we lost the pharmacy, we drove up other reasons. And same on me. Like when I finally 3 months with Magnus and then another 3 months getting the boat that he said I could use and running around on my first regatta, first race, and it totally crashes. This big tugboat crashed my boat. So 6 months of this. And my very first race, before I even raced it, this older gentleman in a great big tugboat, I went off to the side to go to the washroom, and he follows me because he's all afraid this four-way amputee's sailing all by herself away from the start line. And I'm like, I'm fine with my pants off, you know, trying to get some moment to myself on this boat. And he's just so panicked about it all, and he hits me with his big metal boat and crushes my fiberglass boat, and my mast falls down and crushes the boat, and it just misses me, but the wires go rangy and slice me to pieces. It was unbelievable. It was crazy. So I was devastated. 6 months for this special day to have my first race. And it wasn't even my boat. I borrowed it from Magnus, and he totaled it. Magnus, like the mast, the whole, and then this man, a dock at like midnight when everybody goes home, sees me by my boat that's just totaled, and he just very calmly says, "Rough day, huh?" And I'm like, yeah, it was.
Understatement. Well, you know what? And I think that's a huge lesson. That's probably why a lot of people even write songs, is because we get through this stuff that seems impossible to get through.
Yeah, and you think you're not going to get through it.
No.
But that man was Harkin.
What was your favorite country?
My favorite country. So I'm cheating because I'm going to pick Gibraltar. Okay. And the reason that's cheating is because Gibraltar has a massive Spanish influence. Like all the people are because it's right close to Spain, but it's run by Britain. So there's all these like really cool Spanish people running around with bobby hats, and they've got fish and chips and all the things. So I feel like I've got the love of UK. I've got the Spanish influence of paella, of like being near the Spain. And then it's just a very short ferry ride across from Morocco, across from Africa. And so it's got all of this gorgeous artwork and influence and the monkey
music.
And the music. There? And I didn't sail there. I happened to just be passing through. It was just incredible. And so I really loved Gibraltar because it was 3 countries in one, and it was amazing.
Well, when you were there, this was you speaking on stage. This is you being your number one motivational speaker, and you've got your book. So did you promote your book when you were out there? Can you share with the audience, listeners, what the name of your book is? And would like to book you for some of them.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm Unstoppable Tracy everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, my website, on YouTube, on Pinterest, on Gmail Plus, like everything is Unstoppable Tracy. And unstoppable is such an unstoppable word. There's 2 P's in it. But I am, right? And there's no arms and no legs. And I spell my name also with no extra parts. It's just Tracy, no E in Tracy. No arms, no legs, and no E in Tracy. Unstoppable Tracy. And so that's how they find me. But my journey wasn't being Unstoppable Tracy. And I didn't make it to Rio. I didn't make it to 2016 Rio. And that was pretty devastating. But what happened is that me and Magnus, we ended up supporting every Olympian and every Paralympian in Rio. We touched every boat. We influenced and supported and made a difference for everyone in the trials and everyone that made it to the Paralympics and the Olympics. And I was part of being that relationship builder and conduit for Magnus. And so my journey turned out to be for Unstoppable You. And same with speaking. It wasn't Unstoppable Tracy journey. Like all my life, I've been like, I can do it. I can climb mountains. I can ski. I can sail. I can be in kindergarten. I can bust Uber into Canada. I can get Shoppers Drug Mart out of the pharmaceutical. I can get the pilot strike for Air Canada, or I can help Canadian Airlines with mergers. Like it's always I can, but it was something was left undone. And when I became Unstoppable You, and that's the name of the book. That's
the name of the book. Okay.
And at the end of every chapter, it's questions to help you be unstoppable and help you disarm. And I say disarm because I don't have an arm. Help you disarm your limiting, and I spell limiting with a B. I help you disarm your limiting beliefs for the best version of you. What's your peak performance? Don't
leg
allow
of your
me
journey.
to be this leg, baby, of your journey. Yes. So allow me to do that for you. And so you just search Unstoppable You book, and I will give it to you for free download.
Books on
You
download.
can get a free download.
Okay.
Of unstoppableyoubook.ca. UnstoppableYoubook.ca.
And even though this journey has come to an end, it is not stopping. It will continue forever and ever. And we know we're going to have you back, and we're going to replay this. And so everybody go check out Tracy. And it's just Tracy, Unstoppable Tracy on Facebook's the easiest. And you can just see all of her fun stuff and listen to her TED Talk. And thank you, Tracy, for joining Eric.
And upcoming TED Talk. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on our show and our inaugural kickoff show for this year.
Woo! I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Have an unstoppable, limitless day, everyone. And thank you for joining Musical Chairs.
Thank you so much.
Woo!
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.